I have never tufted a day in my life, but today that all changes. I just received this tufting kit from Clawlab in exchange for an honest review. So we're gonna check this out together and I'm going to give you my honest opinion, so make sure to stay till the end. Hey guys, I'm Tori. Welcome to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Y'all ready to get started? Let's get started. So let's go ahead, open the box and check it out. I wonder if I got the pink or the gray tufting gun. Well, I got the gray one. So this is pretty lightweight and easy to hold. Here's the charger, and it's your standard US plug, and they even included an adapter for Europe. So that's actually pretty thoughtful because you can use it no matter where you are. And tucked in here is the threader for the yarn, and of course the instruction manual, which I'll probably need to glance at. So check out how much yarn you get. I wasn't expecting them to send this much, so that's pretty cool. This is for the back of the rug to make it look more professional and put together. Next, I took out all the pieces for the frame and I laid them out on my crafting table. You definitely need an open space for this. It makes it so much easier to see everything and put it together. I'm not gonna lie, this part was a little confusing for me at first. What trips me up were the crossbars. There's a crossbar D and a crossbar E, and at first glance they look almost the same. So I attached them incorrectly, and then I had to go back and unscrew them and really look closely at the picture in the booklet and just follow along step by step. So once I caught that detail, it all came together. So it took me about 20 to 25 minutes to get the whole frame assembled, and honestly that wasn't too bad for the first time. After that, I attached the brackets to my craft table. That part was super easy. You just rotate the knobs on both sides and it fastens right away. Next, I laid the fabric out on the floor, and then I placed the rod on top, and I lined the Velcro with the edge of the fabric and just rolled it up nice and snug. Then you just need to snap it onto the top of the frame, and then you're ready to go. Next step was figuring out what image I wanted to tuft. I decided to make a desk/arm mat rest for my office that says YouTube. So I uploaded the image into Canva and I set the dimensions. You also need to make sure to mirror the image. Then I used my projector to display that image onto the canvas, and I traced it with permanent marker. You can also use chalk or whatever else you want. Then I printed the image in color and I taped it above my outline just so I could remember exactly where each color went. So I'm not gonna lie, this was a little tricky for me. I ended up having to sit down and watch a bunch of YouTube videos trying to figure out the best techniques for tufting. So I'm gonna share with you what I learned and what really helped me, so you don't have to waste your time and yarn like I did. I'm gonna walk you through the challenges that I ran into and what I learned along the way. Number one, a lot of tufting frames have some sort of spool holder that sits above the frame. Mine didn't. So when I started tufting, my yarn was either lying on the floor or it was too low and it kept getting snagged, tangled, and cut. It was so frustrating. I definitely recommend keeping your yarn above the frame so it's higher than your tufting gun to avoid all those mishaps. Even better, try creating some sort of spool holder that sits above your frame. That will make such a huge difference. What I did was I got this from the Dollar Tree so I could wrap the yarn around there. So I just got something like this. I set this just on the craft table, and then I'm just kind of loosening it, placing this yarn over here, and then it doesn't automatically spool or anything like that, so you just have to pay attention and keep loosening it so when you grab it you have some. Number two, I also watched so many videos on how to thread a tufting gun, but most of them either went way too fast or didn't actually show the process clearly. So it comes with a threader, and this is going to be your new best friend. Place the yarn through the threader So it's just like this. All I did was just put it through the hole, just like that. Next, we're going to grab the tufting gun. Make sure it's turned off while you're threading, just to be safe. I learned that there are two ways you can thread it. You can either put the yarn straight through hole A or go through B first and then A. What worked best for me was just threading it through hole A. So I'm going to go ahead and take the threader and I'm going to place it through hole A, and then I'm going to pull it through. Once it's completely through hole A, you can go ahead and remove the threader. The part here that goes all the way up here. So now I have both of these like this. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to power it on. This is the on button. When you plug it on, we're gonna go all the way to the left, which is already there, and that starts out slow. I recommend starting slow before you turn into a professional and go faster, which would be turning it all the way to the right, and then it goes faster. Number 3, your fabric needs to be stretched as tight as possible on the frame. The tighter it is, the easier it is to tuft, and that is so true. Once I made mine even tighter, that eliminated a lot of the problems. If your fabric is loose, it's going to bounce around when the tufting gun punches through, which makes your lines look wobbly and uneven. When the fabric has good tension, the yarn stays in place better and it doesn't slip out or leave gaps. Plus, it just makes the whole tufting process smoother and way less frustrating. You're gonna place this in here, and everything I've seen is place it in just like that, and you're gonna be level, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that does not work for me, so I don't know what they're talking about. What I'm doing is I'm putting it at an angle down just a little bit, and then you're going to push into it a little bit, not super hard that you knock it over, but enough that you're actually putting some muscle behind it. So I'm just gonna kind of hold this way so it doesn't get in there and cut. Since I am new to this, I'm not a professional. We're gonna lean in here and we're gonna go up. So this tends to get short, so we're just gonna pull it just like that. And then here is where we're pulling more of the yarn. So we're gonna go ahead, and it's just an angle, very little down, little muscle going in, and that's it. Here is the threader. We're gonna just open this a little bit. We're gonna place this through here, just like that. So now it's just like this. Then we're gonna grab the gun. We're gonna make sure it's off, which it's on, so I'm gonna turn it off because this is really sharp, so you wanna be super careful. We're gonna go ahead and put this in the A, right there at the bottom. I'm gonna place it right in there. Now you can do it through the B and the A. There's different ways you can do it, but I'm doing A. So see here, I'm just pulling it all the way through, and then I'm going to remove the threader. We'll start with a white border. So let's turn it on. And I have not done a turn yet, so we're gonna do that together. Let's see. So like I said, we're gonna place this in here and give it a little bit of weight. And I have it a little bit angled. This is my first turn, you guys. tufting, I ran out of white yarn. I remember seeing yarn at the nearby Dollar Tree, so I hopped in the car and I ran over there. The yarn actually looked similar to the yarn that I was using, so I bought it. But once I started using it, it kept breaking. I looked it up online and I found out that cheap yarn can do that. It's made with lower quality fibers, blah, 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 blah. So then I decided to order some white yarn online from Walmart. When it came, I realized that the yarn was way too thin. That's when I also learned that yarn actually comes in different sizes. I mean, I obviously knew that there was chunky yarn, but as far as different sizes, I really didn't know all that. So I had to figure out what size my original yarn was and order more. So it still wasn't perfect when it came, but it worked. So the lesson I learned is always make sure that you have enough of the same color yarn before you get started. And if you're new to tufting, I definitely recommend starting small, like with a coaster, before diving into something big. So needless to say, I finished the project, but it probably didn't look as well as it would have had I had the same yarn and same size and same brand. So I also learned that after you finish tufting, you need to glue the backing of your rug or your project to keep the yarn in place. Then you'll need to cut and trim the yarn with a shaver or a carpet cutter to give it a clean, finished look. So neither of these items came with this kit, and since I don't like to do things halfway, I went ahead and I ordered both. For the glue, I bought a premium multi-purpose carpet and sheet vinyl adhesive. I'm not really sure if that was the correct one to use. It worked fine. As for the trimmer, I searched everywhere online for a carpet clipper, trimmer, but most of them had a month-long wait for shipping. So I ended up ordering the only one that was available, and that was the 690W electric carpet trimmer. And yikes, this thing was gigantic. Definitely made for a huge, gigantic rug and not for my little project. I tried it anyway and it worked terribly. So honestly, I don't recommend that at all either. I just didn't feel like it was safe. So now on to the gluing. I saw people on YouTube using hard plastic scrapers and spreading the glue over the back. And I also saw people using latex gloves and then spreading the glue with their hands. Needless to say, I went with a scraper. They say to wait 24 hours to let it dry before moving on to the next step. So what did I learn? All right, so the lesson I learned is I definitely used way too much glue because mine took 48 hours to dry. So if I did it again, I would have spread it out more evenly and scraped off the extra glue. While editing this video, I realized the part where I cut the image out of the fabric and then glue the backing on didn't actually record. So I'll still be showing you those steps, but using the next project in the video. So it'll look a little bit different. That way you can follow along without any guessing. You just cut around it. I'm just using a little X-Acto knife, and you want to leave about an inch. Some people may say half an inch. It's up to you. I'd like to leave a little extra just to be safe. And let's see, I went a little bit sideways. I'm not super good at cutting, so that's why I say an inch. Just need to make little cuts, little snips on the excess fabric, and we're gonna fold it over. And just so you know, this is tacky to touch. It's not wet, but it is tacky. So we're gonna go ahead and just keep cutting, going all the way around. Then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just fold this over. And it actually sticks pretty well as is. I see some people use a glue gun or something. It's really up to you how you want to do that. But we're just folding this part over so it looks more clean. Then I'm gonna get the gray matting. I'm gonna carefully take like a little marker just so I can know where to cut. I probably wouldn't recommend using a marker. You're going to cut that part out. So this is what I'm using is Elmer's Craft Bond. And what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna spray the backing. If it's a really big project, I would probably do it in layers. Since this is so small, I'm just gonna spray all of this. We're just gonna go ahead and spray it. We're gonna take the fabric and apply it over it. And you're just gonna kind of press down. This is the carpet trimmer that I mentioned that was way too big for the project, and honestly I don't recommend it at all. So it didn't feel very secure and it just didn't work well either. If you look at the back, you'll see that it isn't even secured down to the wood. The instruction manuals show it that way too, which makes no sense. So I really think that it should have been bolted down. If I had had extra bolts, I would have definitely bolted it down myself. To make things worse, the red yarn smudged into the white yarn and made it almost look pink. So the lesson learned, I definitely need a smaller carpet trimmer that's easier to use for projects like this. Of course, once I finished this project, I wanted to try it again. This time I did a few 4x4 coaster style projects. I followed my own advice and I really think they turned out so much better. I also skipped using that big trimmer because honestly, I wasn't impressed with it. Since the projects were smaller, I just used scissors to trim everything and I tried to make it as even as I could. If you ever thought about trying tufting, I hope this video gave you the confidence to go for it. Start small, be patient, and have fun with it. Overall, I really liked this tufting kit from Clawlab. The frame was lightweight, portable, and it didn't take up too much space, and the tufting gun was also lightweight and easy to use. If you're interested, I'll leave the link below. And if you ever thought about trying tufting, I hope this video gave you the confidence to go for it. Start small, be patient, and most importantly, have fun. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me while I learned something totally new. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.